Hey guys, get ready with me while I tell you guys the story time about how my ex cheated on me with his cousin. So freshman year, I was talking to this guy. He was like really nice and stuff. Like I didn't expect anything bad from him. We started off as like friends, and then like we started getting really flirty, and then like we ended up like talking, and then we ended up dating. During the talking stage, we're like fine, whatever, and then we start dating. And one day we're like texting normally and stuff. Don't mind how orange my hands are, it was a fake tan gone bad. But he sends me a screenshot of his camera roll, and I see like a picture of him grabbing some girl's waist and kissing her. So I was like, what is that about? Like, why is there a picture of you grabbing some girl's waist and kissing her, you know, like as a normal girlfriend should be concerned? He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, you know what I mean, I see the picture. He's like, oh, that's my friend. I'm like, that's your friend? And then he's like, wait, and then he sends the picture. I'm like, is that your cousin? Because I already knew who his cousin was. And he was like, yeah. I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, like that's normal. I'm like, no, it's not, that's not normal. So then I like brush it off because he's like, yeah, that's fine, we were just like playing around and stuff. I was like, whatever you say, like literally whatever you say, I don't even care, whatever. So after we break up, because basically he was hanging out with a girl alone and was like being weird and like lying to me and stuff, so whatever, we broke up, like, and yeah, and I thought that was the end of it. So then like he was still liking my stories and stuff, and like that just got in my eye. So he's still liking my stories and stuff, and it's just like really weird. Like I can post like myself, like, you know, looking decent, and he'll like it. Sometimes he'll even swipe up. But then I would see like posts of him like holding some girl's thigh, kissing some girl on the cheek. I was like, okay, he moved on mad quick, or so I thought. Basically, we kind of run it back. Like, we start like texting again, and then all of a sudden he's like, I'm mad, don't speak to me. So I'm like, what did I do this time? So then he's like, you posted a picture of you with a guy and he had his arm around you. Yes, after you posted a picture of you having your hand on some girl's thigh. So then I confront him. I'm like, well, you posted like that. And he's like, that's my cousin. I went off. I was like, why are you touching your cousin like that, you weirdo? And the cousin's feeding into it too. Like, you know, she knows what she's doing. Because usually I don't really hate on a girl, but like she's also doing it. Like she's just as bad. So then he's like, yeah, but like we're doing it in a friendly way. I'm like, no, you're not. You're grabbing her thigh, you're posting you kissing her and stuff. I had the screenshots and everything. And like I had a feeling it was his cousin, but still, like, admitting that just got in my eye again. I don't know how to use this proper. Oh my gosh. But yeah, so that happened. Then he runs back to me again, and we're like talking normally because I just didn't know what to do. I was like stuck on him, even though he did that, and I didn't even know the worst of it yet. So he runs back to me again, and he basically like, we're like talking like flirty again, and I'm like, okay, whatever. And then the next day he posts some girl. Not even a day later, we didn't even like stop talking the second time. He just posts the girl. I was so fed up. And then after like a little bit, I was like done. I literally unfollowed him. I was done. Mind you, he tried running back to me multiple times. Like, he still follows my main TikTok and stuff, and like I unfollowed him and stuff, but he would still try running back to me. And then I was done after that time because, you know, I was like, you know, like, fuck, like, ew, bye. By the way, like, I know a lot of his family, so like, I hear a lot of things about him and stuff, and like that's what's like the funny part. Like they would all like tell me stuff that like they would hear about him. So fast track a couple months later, I'm on Instagram Live on my spam account. I put way too much because I'm closer with his cousins, like other cousins, not the one that like he was posting up with. I'm closer with them than with him, and I was on Instagram Live with them. He kept joining and like commenting like random things, and I was like, he was commenting, oh, Chloe looks so good and stuff, and I was like, oh my gosh, like leave me alone. And like basically when he left the live, I get told the craziest thing ever. So basically what I heard was that the day me and him met, he like, it was way before, but wait, let me just finish this stuff and then I'll get to it. Some of their family was talking, and basically one of the cousins was like, oh yeah, you know how like they like the guy I talked to and then the cousin that he's really flirty with, you know how they like post weird things on Instagram of each other all the time? Well, like turns out they did it. If you know, you know. So when I found this out, my jaw dropped. Like, you don't understand. Like, I literally couldn't even, like, speak properly after I heard that. Because, like, getting cheated on is one thing. Like, yeah, that hurts. But getting cheated on by someone's family member? Like, I expected it, but I didn't expect that. So I was just astonished, and I didn't even know what to do. So because at that time I had him unfollowed, and on my spam I had him unfollowed also because, you know, like I didn't want him in my life. And this does kind of correlate, and I do believe it, because like in the middle of our breakup, like before I found that out and then after we broke up, he added me to his close friend story, and I was like, what is this about? And I thought it was a video of him like just walking or something. I turned on the audio. It's him, some girl. You don't see the girl in the video, you just see the guy. And I have a feeling it was her because I heard the noises. So when I heard that, and then it made sense. So then he follows me a couple months later, and we start texting, and I decided to confront. I was like, I heard something about you and your cousin. He was like, what? I was like, hey, you guys did it? He was like, what do you mean? I was like, you guys... And he just kept denying. But my gut told me that he did it. Thanks for watching, guys. This is the end result too. Bye, guys.
Hey guys, okay, get ready with me while I tell you about like this ex friend I had and this like crazy ending. Okay, but basically like this girl, like I hung out with her, like I got really close to her because she didn't do dive with me and she didn't do flag football with me, but I just like hung out with her like a couple times just because the guy I was hanging out with, like he was knew her, and it was just like a lot was going on, but like she was really nice to me and I was like nice to her. Like I never have a problem with someone until like she makes the problem with me or like the person, but I usually like ending on like a healthy like standard of like maybe like talking it out or whatever happened. But this story just goes crazy. She wanted to say hi. And basically like, okay, so I was best friends with her. We hung out like 24/7, and like low-key props to my friend Macy for like getting me out of this because I was hanging out with that girl 24/7 before I was hanging out with Macy. But I love Macy. But this like girl, she just like was weird. Like she just like show up to my house at random times, and if you know me, you know that I'm like never home. Like I'm at sports until like maybe like sports and then like straight to the gym and then maybe work. And she was pulling up to my house at random times, and my parents were like, bro, who are you? Like get away, like what are you doing here? And it was just kind of confusing because like she's showing up to my house a lot, and like I didn't ask to hang out, and I don't even know how she got my address using the Ilya. But like basically she was just being really random, and it got to the point to where whenever I hung out with the guy I liked, she'd randomly show up out of anywhere. Like maybe we were like getting dinner and she'd like randomly show up out of the middle of nowhere. But basically, it's like everywhere I'd go with the guy I like and want to hang out with him, she'd follow like 2 minutes behind me. And it was kind of getting to a point where I thought she was stalking me or the guy I was talking to. And I got to a point where I was like confused because I go to work at an old person's home and she like tried to follow me in. And I was like, what is happening? Like, I'm so lost. And then I like hang out with my guy one, like, and like obviously I get her a guy because I'm not gonna like leave her out. It's getting to a point where she's like really bugging me, so like I finally get her a guy to hang out. But it's like every time I hang out with my guy, she's like staring in mine and my guy's direction. So it's like I'm like, looking like, why are you looking over here? But so basically I have to go to the bathroom for like bathroom reasons, and I'm maybe gone for like 10ish minutes, not that long. Like, and honestly, like, I don't take a long time to go to the bathroom just because like I'm in and out because I'm usually like behind and late on time for like sports and stuff like that. I'm in there for maybe like 3 minutes. Like, honestly, I touch up my makeup and stuff like that, but she like, I'm literally out there and then people are like staring at me like for some reason. Like, I haven't not done anything at this point. And it comes to find out that like after we hang out, the guy I talked to was like, yo, she's talking some mad crap about you. Like, I don't know if you know this, but she was like saying stuff about you, which I'll tell you in a little bit later. The fact she was talking about herself. But it basically gets to the point to where the guy I'm talking to like is like texting me. He's like, hey, is that stuff true? And I'm like, I have no idea what's going on. And so she calls me and she's like, oh my gosh, the guys are talking crap about you. But I'm like, they wouldn't talk crap about me because one of them's my cousin and one of them's the guy I'm talking to. So I ask him what's going on and like what's happening, because like I am so lost why people are like, oh my gosh, like they're looking at me weird. And he's like, yeah, so she said that you like got with 3 guys last weekend and like then you like kind of like hooked up with one of them and did some crazy stuff. And kid me not, this girl was crying last weekend because she had gotten with like a couple guys and 2 of them were best friends and they figured out. And I'm like, so what am I doing wrong? Because all I ever did last weekend was hang out with the guy I liked and my cousin. So my cousin was there the whole time. Like, I literally, like, he was hanging out with my brother and then he came and hung out with us. But so basically it gets to a point where my cousin has to start telling people it's not true because the girl's like freakishly like obsessed with me for some reason that I don't even know why. She's telling me detailed stories of how she's like, oh my gosh, he was so hot, but the other guy was so hot. I'm like, I'm not gonna say anything. Like, I'm not delusional on talking to 3 different guys at the same time. I personally value a relationship and I want to keep it if I have the chance to, because I don't have a lot of time for extra people in my life, so my extra time is really valuable to me. So basically she's lying about stuff that she did because she's just so self-conscious that she even got herself to do that stuff, and she's blaming it on me. And personally, if she needs a therapist, she can talk to me, but don't blame me for doing your weird things. Especially because, like, the stuff she did, I'm never gonna do in my life. It's just so gross. And it's like, I don't have any reason to talk to you whatsoever about, like, gross things. Like, she's giving it to me in detail. So, she's obviously giving it to the guys in detail of, like, what I did. And so, my guy is like, what is she saying? Like, is that true? And I'm like, no, it's not true. But he's like, well, she's making it sound really weird and real, and she's telling people. And so basically what she didn't know is that one of the guys that she was talking to got everything on camera. So I'm like, okay, well, I have that video now. Obviously, I asked him to send it to me because I'm like, I'm going to send it to her because obviously, 1, she needs to know. 2, I'm not going to send it around to people. That's fake. But it's just the fact that I'm not going to do anything, but she needs to stop. And if she doesn't stop, then there's going to be a reason for me to blackmail her, because I'm not getting false stuff spread about me if, like, I didn't do it. And so it gets to the point where I confront her about it, and she's like, no, why would I do that? That's so fake. I would never do that. And it's like, I literally, one of the guys had a video of her talking crap about me, and I was like, okay, at this point, what am I even doing? Like, I've been nice to her. She's just making me lose my trust for her. And so basically right now it's like the week before we go out to winter break, and I'm hanging out with my guy before I leave on winter break. Also, this is this year, spoiler alert, I leave on winter break and I'm like, oh, so hopefully nothing goes down. Obviously it wasn't gonna go down because I'm literally like about to become something with this guy. Like, he's really sweet, he's really nice, everything's going well, and he's like, I have to ask you something after winter break. I was like, oh, everything's going great. And we got through the problem. The girl's like totally out of the picture, and it's like she hasn't like followed me. Like, she's like gone. Like, I haven't seen her in a long time. Okay, so I'm winter break skiing, everything's going good. He's like texting me. I'm like, oh, okay, can't wait to get back and see you, because honestly breaks for me are pretty boring because I'm the oldest one out of all the little girls, and I'm like watching the little girls and stuff like that while the parents go out and hang out and have fun. So I was like, oh, okay, so I miss you, like, let's hang out when we get back. Okay, and then I'm also getting in shape for softball season because softball season's like getting ready to start and tryouts are happening. So I'm like running at the track and I see the girl, and she's like talking with her friend. And this is also like not Mountain View's track, this is like a track, and like I think it's Westwood's track. Yeah, it was Westwood. I was at Westwood running, and I hear her talking with her friend, and she's like, no way you did that, like that's literally so crazy, girl. And I'm like, okay, what are they talking about? So obviously as someone, I'm running by and I hear the name of my man, which I'm not gonna say, but I was like, what? And so basically I go in like spring break, I come back and I hear her talk about like nothing's going good right now. I'm like, what is happening? End of story. I'm skipping forward a bit because I'm like talking to my guy. He's acting so weird, like something definitely went down, and I was like, if it's between those two, like I'm gonna be like this, I'm just gonna be like so mad. And there's a big ending to this story. And so basically I'm sitting there with my guy and we're like watching a movie together, and she walks in like out of the middle of nowhere, and her mom's like, oh hey so and so, and I was like, what? And her mom's like so confused when she sees me on the couch and then her walk in. She's like, oh. So yeah, something did go down over winter break, and I just figured that out. I was like, oh, so are we like having like something happen that I don't know about? And so basically maybe like a couple weeks later, I'm like hanging out and like I'm like, okay, something's definitely off. And so I'm basically like at his house, and then like my friend runs into his house. Like, also it's his little sister's friend, but also dance teacher, but she runs into the house and she's like, so and so got with him. I was like, are we so for real? Because at this point I'm so pissed off. I go walk in and talk to him like, no way this happened. And he's like he's quiet, he's not responding, but he won't respond. And I'm like, so what happened? Turns out she cracked him over winter break when I was going with my family, and I didn't know he did any of that at all, because when I talked to him he like hadn't done anything. I come back from winter break and she, yeah, so basically we're not friends anymore, and I'm never gonna be in a relationship again, or almost into one, until after high school, because, well, that's my story.
The guy that had just taken me out on a date was cuddling with my best friend right in front of me. One time, one of my good friends asked me out on a date, and we had known each other for a few years. We were like, yeah, let's do it. We had hung out the day before the date, really hit it off. We finally get on the date. It was really interesting. The date was kind of average. After the date, he came up to me and he was like, I had a great time and I really want to go out again. I was like, okay, he's pretty interested. We'll see where this goes. 2 days passed. He texted me and he said, hey, what are you doing right now? And I'm hanging out with two of my girlfriends. Why? And he was like, well, like, you guys all want to hang out. I have some guy friends I'm hanging out with. Let's just make it a group thing. We invite them over to our apartment, and immediately I can tell that something's off. He's being super weird. He's not really talking to me. We had just gone on a date 2 days ago. We put on a movie and he doesn't sit next to me. So we're watching the movie. He sat down next to my other friend. 15 minutes passed and I look back over at them and he is cuddling her in the corner, holding her hand. The guy that had just taken me out on a date was cuddling with my best friend right in front of me. What is going on? I look over at my other friend and she looks at me so confused. She's like, just kick him out. So disrespectful. I say, hey, I'm getting tired. I'm gonna turn off the movie and you guys have to go. I leave. 5 minutes later, that guy texted me and said, something wrong. I felt like the vibe was off and I just wanted to make sure that we're all good. Vibe was off. Vibe was off, he said. Yeah, the vibe was off. I can't also comprehend how boys are so incredibly stupid. Like, what the heck? Why? How do you take a girl out and then 2 days later come cuddle with her best friend right in front of you? Anyways, cheers. I hope it doesn't happen to you.
All right, I'm going to tell a story of how my ex-husband met her now wife. So, my ex-husband came out to me in April, May of 2022. And we were divorced by January of 2023. She had a rapid transition happen over that summer and fall. And in September, when things were really kind of on the downhill, I had flown home to visit my parents. And while I was home, I kept seeing someone showing up on my Ring camera coming to my house. And it was this woman, and we're going to call her BF for best friend. Okay. And so BF keeps showing up at my house, and I've never seen this woman before. And I ask my ex, I say, hey, who's this person that keeps coming over? And she's like, oh, she's just a friend of mine from work. She needs a place to stay. And I was like, oh, like, what's her name? I've never, heard of her. And she's like, well, are you just, I said, I don't know how I kind of feel about this other woman being at my house when I'm not there. And she said, well, it's just like friends. If you had a girlfriend over, I wouldn't care. Like, if you had a girl over, it's just like the same thing. We're best friends, whatever. And I'm like, oh, okay. But also, I just didn't know you had this new best friend. I didn't know about them. And, again, she says, well, if it was another guy, would you care? And I'm like, well, I don't know now, because my ex also had come out to me as bisexual along with everything. I had known that there had been a past with men that she told me years into our marriage that I hadn't previously known, but that's a whole other story. And so anyway, I'm the queen of side tangents, I know. So anyway, this person starts coming over all the time. She says, hey, she's sleeping here. BF is sick. She needs a place to stay that's not at the unit, like on a cot, whatever, because they worked together. So I come back from my trip and I get home and I realize that she had been sleeping in my bed with my ex. And I, again, not my ex at the time. And I was like, that does not feel appropriate at all. Like, we're still married. And my ex said, well, it's just like girlfriends having a sleepover. I'm like, I don't know. It feels off to me. Like, I'm not okay with this. Well, anyway, shortly thereafter, we decide to separate. And so my ex found an Airbnb to move into until she could secure housing and a place to live. And the very first time I go to drop my children off at her Airbnb condo, I knock, we walk in the door, and this woman is there. And I'm like, oh, hi. And she's like, oh, I forgot to tell you, she's staying the night. Like, she needs a place to stay, so she's staying with me. And I'm like, no, I don't know this person. I'm not leaving my children with you and this person. And my ex said, well, you need to trust me and who I am, and I'm not going to let them be with someone dangerous. And I'm like, I'm not okay with this. I start to take my kids and be like, I'm leaving. And she got very upset with me. It kind of caused a scene. She was really upset. So you can't take my children from me. And I'm saying, I don't feel safe with this. The children did end up staying. But it was it was so hard. I was so upset about it. Like, at what point did you think you should have informed me that there was going to be someone else staying there? And, it just was not okay. And then when my ex moved into her new home, same thing, this BF follows her and is living there. And I keep getting told, oh, she's looking for an apartment. She's going to be moving out. This is temporary. Well, months and months go by and it's not temporary anymore. So after a few months, I finally ask, I just kind of had this feeling and I kind of asked, hey, are you guys dating? Like, I just want to know, because you are living together and the kids are there. I do feel like I need to be informed if there's anything else going on, just so we can discuss, boundaries and whatnot. No, we're not dating. Well, I'm on the phone with my daughter. She's FaceTiming me. She's like 2 or 3. And she walks into the bathroom, and on FaceTime I see my ex and BF in the shower together. And it was so bad. It was so bad. I immediately call and I text and say, you guys need to come over. We need to have a talk right now. Like, 1, that's so inappropriate that my daughter was able to walk in on them. 2, why are you doing that while the children are there? 3, just so many things. You could list it out. I'm so upset. They don't really address it at all. We find a time. They come over to the house and I'm asking them, hey, why did you think that was okay? And why did you not even apologize or approach me to talk about it up until this point? Now that I asked, I was like, oh, we were hoping you didn't see anything. We were hoping you didn't actually see anything on FaceTime. Oh, I saw. So anyway, it was in that conversation that BF tells me, oh yeah, we became best friends this past summer. We immediately clicked when I got to the unit in June or July. We immediately clicked and we've been inseparable best friends since then. And that was one of the most hurtful things in my entire divorce process, was to find out that while this summer where I thought we were working through things and I was really trying to make efforts, I thought, and maybe they weren't the best efforts, maybe it wasn't enough for my ex. I really thought I was making efforts to see if we could make our marriage work. that my ex had actually made a new best friend, never told me about this person, and was confiding in her about everything going on, was relying on her input and advice on transitioning and decisions she was making, and this BF was really the one kind of there for her and advising her and helping her. And I know that my ex needed someone, but it also was very painful that I was not included in those decisions and she'd been turning to someone else. And that is where I do feel like it kind of crossed the border into an emotional affair, because I know they needed support, but also I wasn't informed about this person at all. And I would have liked to think I would have been supportive that she found a friend who was there for her and could help her through the process. Maybe I wouldn't have, but I just feel like this friendship was kept so hidden from me, and especially the fact that when she said, oh, we clicked right away and we were just best friends and we just had this connection, like, it was just so painful for me to hear that. And then in that same conversation, BF told me, oh, I'm not planning on moving out. Like, I'm definitely staying. And up until like the week before, my ex had been saying, oh yeah, she's finding another apartment. She's planning on moving out. So there were just like a lot of lies and deceit along the way. And again, not that I needed to know every single thing, but I felt like because there were children involved in staying at the home, it would have been prudent to share all that information and to at least have open conversations and to set those boundaries. So just funny enough, fast forward to the following Thanksgiving of, I think, 2024. And they got engaged and I did not know. And we were in the parking lot of this random strip mall. And my son goes, hey, maybe that's where BF got the ring for dad. And I said, what ring? Like the ring? And they're like, yeah, maybe that's where she got that ring that she proposed with. And I was like, oh, and this happened like 2 weeks before. So I texted, I said, hey, are you engaged? And my ex said, yeah, we are. I'm surprised it took the kids so long to tell you. I thought they would have told you right away. I'm like, congratulations. Just a funny way to find out. The best part about it all was that I was on Marco Polo with my siblings, and so they like saw it happening in real time. I just like, oh, okay. And then they got married. And they told me they were getting married in August, and that's when they were doing like their big wedding with the kids and everything, and that's fine. Well, come to find out that they definitely got civilly married in February, and I found that out because we are cordial, and I was at her house getting the kids one time, and I look up and there's a big like plaque above their kitchen saying like, established so-and-so date, and it was definitely February when they told me that they had actually, like, they only told me their wedding date was in August. So it's just kind of funny things at that point. Like, those things don't really matter and make a difference in my children's life, but yeah, it's just been a wild ride, but that's the story of my ex and her new wife and their whole relationship. All right, so this is the story of how I found out that my ex-husband was a trans woman. So we met in 2014. We met at church. We started dating pretty quickly. I was 26. I was just turning 26 actually, because we met the month of my birthday, and I specifically remember him coming to my birthday dinner that I was having with friends, and he was just super confident, came up and was like, I hear it's your birthday, what are we doing? What are we doing? I said, oh, we're going out to some dinner after this church activity, and he was like, oh, great, like basically came along. We hung out a few times. I specifically remember after our first kiss calling my sister and being like, oh my gosh, like that was such a good kiss. That was like, this is it. So I was very picky in dating, never really one to go out on a ton of dates, or I'd go on one date, rarely do a second date. If I wasn't feeling it, I know pretty quickly. So for me, it's a big deal to have someone that I was into that quickly. So, fast forward, we get engaged in July 4th. Well, it's technically July 3rd. We went to my hometown of Albuquerque, New Mexico, and we were on top of the mountain there in Sandia Peak. I remember he was like acting all, I don't know, romantic, and I was like, what are you doing? Because it wasn't really us. He was like, look at the fireworks over the whole valley. This is so cool. He proposes. We had a very quick engagement and got married September 26th of 2015. So we were living in San Antonio, Texas at the time. I had just finished up residency. I was working at the VA as a pharmacist doing internal medicine and infectious diseases, and he was working for this company doing car auditing and still going to school to get his degree in business finance, and then doing reserve work like once a month, go do work for the reserves. Well, I started noticing that he wasn't really happy doing that, and it was really affecting his health and mental health. So he quit that job to focus on being a full-time student, because I'm like, I have a great job. Why don't you focus, if you go to school full-time for 2 years, then we can get past this stage and all this. But that wasn't going super well either. And so at some point I said, when I see you happiest is when you are doing work with the Marines. So maybe we need to consider you going active duty. So that's what ended up happening. So he went active duty, and in 2017, we got stationed out in Camp Pendleton, California. And we were there for 3.5 years, and he was an instructor at the reconnaissance school. And so he was a highly accomplished Marine. And that was one of the things I was initially attracted to him, was he was super young, but he was already a reconnaissance Marine. He was a scout sniper. While he was there in Camp Pendleton, he also got some other things like combat diver and free fall parachutist, like very accomplished, seemed very happy, was always very fulfilled, was at work a ton, obviously. I kept working as a pharmacist during that time, but we lived on base, fully experienced this Marine lifestyle. And, he was very typical Marine. He would go out, he'd come back from any time he was away with the guys, and kind of be making jokes that I'm like, oh, not around the wife, like a little misogynistic. He was like full Trump supporter, full everything. And I actually feel like I was the one that sometimes would be like, oh, like, what do you think? Sometimes I'd bring up things about, like at the time there was the thing about the trans swimmer and all of that. And I would just ask, like, what do you think about this? And I was a little bit more moderate leaning, and he just would avoid the topics, but I didn't really think much of it. So we get stationed out in Alabama, and he's again working for a reconnaissance reserve unit. He's like active reservist, so he's supporting that. He's doing the dive shop. It was very stressful. Not home very much. We did have 2 kids at this point. So we had a child in Camp Pendleton in 2019. We moved to Alabama when I was pregnant with our second. They are 19 months apart. We had her in April of 2021. So I had taken some time off from work to stay home with the kids. It was COVID. It was just a lot going on. So I was home, and I kind of started getting the feeling like when my daughter was around a year old, I started looking for some part-time work. So I went and started working 3 days a week at a home infusion pharmacy. And so I'd work Monday through Wednesday and then have 4 days off. And I thought it was great. But the first couple weeks of that job, we were still getting childcare set up because it was like end of April. And so we had someone that was going to come watch our kids for us and kind of be a summer nanny, but we didn't have anyone during that time. So he was like, oh, I'll take work off for those couple weeks, those 3 days, those 2 weeks, and stay with the kids. I'm like, that's fantastic. So I believe it was the second week. I come home one day from work, and I'm like, hey, how'd it go? And he's like, oh, it went great. All these things. And I said, oh, what'd you do during the kids' nap time? Because at the time we were really lucky to have kids that napped at the same time, and we're great nappers. Well, our son's always been a great napper. Our daughter, not so much, but if you got them down. He said he got them down at the same time. So I asked what he did during nap time, and he looks at me and he shows me, he says, well, I kind of had a little like personal care time, and I just wanted to feel a little sexy. And he shows me that he had painted his toenails like a hot pink, and then shows me that he was wearing my sports bra and my underwear. And it was just, it was so different than anything that had ever happened. And I was not kind in my reaction. I was freaked out. I basically said, what is going on? Like, what the hell? This isn't you. Go pack your stuff, and you need to figure out what's going on. It was not a kind response at all. And I know a lot of people, he posted on Reddit about this. I found the account, and they're saying, oh, Run, she's so unsupportive, she's so awful, and all these things. And I agree, it was not like a supportive response. It was just so out of left field and so unexpected, and not anything that we had ever even broached or talked about. And it just did not fit anything I knew about this person at all. And so, I went in my room and I started crying, because I just knew everything is changing. Like, this is not, it's just different. Everything is changing. So I go in my room and I'm crying. And, you know, eventually, I don't know the timeline exactly, because honestly, this whole time period after this does kind of become a blur. And I, you know, said, you don't need to move out. You don't need to pack your stuff up. I'm sorry. Like, let's figure out what's going on. So he finds a therapist, starts going to therapy. And I had a family reunion planned at the end of March. So we were flying from Alabama to Las Vegas, and we had a family reunion up in St. George. And on that drive, we fly into Vegas, and on that drive up to my family reunion was when he officially said the words, "I am a trans woman." And so we show up to my family. All this is going on in the background. We have a 1 and a 2-year-old. I'm still nursing my daughter. But we had actually done a lot of work in our relationship, and we're actually in such a good place. Like, we'd had some communication problems early on, and I specifically remember my older sister talking to me, being like, "I am just so proud of you. You guys are just communicating so well. You guys have really done work. I can see it. Like, you guys are just in such a good place." And I remember being like, oh my gosh, you have no idea what's actually going on. And it was so hard, but we were able to hide it and, you know, work through. But there were some things that happened on that trip that, again, I said very mean things. I started my first postpartum period while we were in St. George, which was not fun. And I remember just saying very mean things to Justin, like him crying and basically saying, like, that's what I want, and I want to experience that, and me being like, you have no idea what it's going to ever be like to truly be a woman. And I was just very rude about that. And I was also very emotional going through a lot. So I will own up that I was not the kindest person. I didn't say the kindest things. I wasn't initially. I was very like, this isn't real. This isn't happening. So that's how I found out everything. We did that whole summer. I felt like we stayed together. We were in the house. I was trying my hardest to figure out if there was any way we could possibly make it work. I tried to explore any options, asking him things like, well, can we acknowledge like you're trans, but can you stay who you are? Because that's who I fell in love with, and you're the kid's dad. But he started moving very fast. And I, at this point, kind of now it's becoming she, and she started moving very fast. She got on oral estrogen within a couple months and just started wearing makeup and female clothing and underwear, and it was just really, really fast, and I could never quite catch up. And so it finally did get to a point that on our anniversary, our 7th anniversary, sadly, I remember joking like, is this what they call the 7-year itch? But on our 7th anniversary, we did decide that it was not going to work, and we made plans to start separating. So it was very sad, and it's been a lot, but that's kind of the initial story of how I found out and reacted, and have a lot more to talk about on it. So I feel like I've tried so many times to share the story of what happened after my ex-husband came out as a trans woman, and it just turns out really chaotic every time, and I think it just was really chaotic. So it was a really chaotic time in my life. So my ex-husband came home to him wearing my underwear in April. By mid to end May, he was officially saying, I am a trans woman. We go to a family reunion. I'm hiding it. I'm trying to cope with all of it, but we are trying to talk it through, figure out what this means. I'm trying to ask different questions, like, does this mean he absolutely has to transition? Can we acknowledge he's trans or she's trans and still live the life we know? Is there any way I'm going to be able to stay in this marriage? I had never questioned my sexuality, never questioned if I could be with someone that looked like a woman and, you know, love them for who they were. But that's a whole other thing too, because it's, as much as someone can say it's who I really am and it's who I've always been, when that has not been how they've presented themselves to you their whole life or your whole marriage, it is hard, because now I am having to get to know this new person, because I was married to a very macho presenting, masculine, you know, Marine man, and now I'm having to watch as she navigates all of these different things of how she wants to be as a woman. And it was just a really, really chaotic, tricky time. So things that I remember are that we had been talking about having our 3rd child. My daughter had just turned 1. Our first 2 are 19 months apart. My ex wanted a 3rd kid really close. I wanted to wait. And so especially with this coming up, I was like, yeah, we're definitely waiting. And so she had talked to an endocrinologist, got booked in for an appointment. I want to say it was in the fall time. And then she tells me one day, hey, by the way, they have a spot open. I want to say it was like June. And so she goes to this appointment, gets prescribed a bunch of oral hormonal therapy. And I'm like, hey, can we please just wait on this decision to start it? Like, I want to be, support. I want to be on board with this, but I'm really not ready for this. And then especially, the talk about children. And I had basically said I would need to wait until, you'd been transitioned for like a year to make sure this was even going to work before we even talk about kids again. So I find out that she started taking the estrogen and whatever else she was prescribed kind of without me knowing. And I just remember the day I found that out was horrible. Like, I just bawled because I could see that our entire future was basically changing and that we weren't going to have more kids. Which later on, when she did tell the military about it all and went and saw a military specialist in this, they did have her go and do, she went off the orals and went and did on Clomid and did some like sperm preservation. But what was hard about that is by that time I knew it wasn't for me anymore. So that was really hard too, because that ship by then had already sailed, but that was much later. So yeah, she started taking hormonal therapy. Later she expressed me the reason was she felt like she needed to know. Like, she needed to know how she would feel on it to make any decisions moving forward. But that wasn't discussed with me. And so there was just a lot of miscommunication in this time period of me thinking that maybe we could work something out, her interpreting a lot of what I was saying as that it wasn't going to work out, and that she needed to move forward and start doing things. So she started to be wearing makeup regularly, went full into, wearing more like women's athleisure athletic type clothing. So no more male clothing. It was just really hard seeing my husband wearing makeup and doing these things. It was very hard for me to be attracted to that. And that's when I did realize, like, okay, I am very much straight. I am not attracted to either a male wearing feminine clothes or makeup, and I'm not attracted to women. So, but yeah, one day I came home and there was this massive order of Amazon clothing and makeup and things, and I didn't really know. All of a sudden I just saw all these boxes and I'm like, what is this all? And I start opening them, and some of the things were, it's like inserts and hip pads and a lot of things to build a feminine figure, and it was just a lot. And then it was a lot of money too. So I started stressing about the money being spent. And, she explained to me, oh, I thought it would be fun to do try-ons and we could do it together. And I don't have to keep all this. I just wanted to do it because I'm like, this is like $1,000 worth of Amazon purchases. She went and paid for laser hair removal surgery, all these things. So there was just so much chaos going on. And meanwhile, no one knew in my life. And I finally, because I kept saying like, hey, I want you to have the opportunity to tell people, and I want you to be able to do it first, and even with my family, but let me know how, if I can. And so finally I had gotten actually laid off. So that was another aspect going on. My job, I had just started and gone back to work part-time at like a home infusion center, and the company was closing that branch. So I was laid off, and so I was like, well, I need to focus on getting another job. So any decision I make in regards to us is purely based on, us, and not just like, oh, I need to stay with you for financial type reasons, which she kind of took personally as me saying I had to be on my own and didn't need her. And again, lots of things were just misinterpreted. It was just really, really tricky. And so I was laid off, but I got a severance package. And so I decided I was going to go on a road trip, kind of give us some time apart to think through things. It was just so high tension all the time. It's like all we could talk about was this, and I just needed some time. So I did a couple-week road trip up to visit family. I had friends in Nashville and Kentucky, and I had my family in Indiana at the time, one of my sisters. And so I went to do this like road trip and just get away. And at that point I was like, okay, well, I'm going to see my sister. I'm going to tell her. There's no way I can see her in person and not tell her about everything going on, her and her husband. And so I called my parents the night before the road trip to tell them. And they were pretty, how I first started talking, I thought I was going to tell them I was getting divorced, which we hadn't decided that yet. But when I told them, it was just very, oh, okay. Like, and no one expected it. It was just so, it was just so shocking. None of us had any idea. I get asked that all the time. None of us had any idea. So I told my parents, and then I told my sister, and I remember I was telling my sister and brother-in-law, and my brother-in-law actually had a coworker whose sister had gone through something similar, and he said that they tried to make it work, and his coworker, her sister said that in the end it just got so ugly because they were both forcing it and it wasn't going to work. And so her advice always was like, you know, try not to drag it out, make your decision earlier rather than later. It's going to be better for everyone involved. And that really stuck with me because I kind of knew, I remember him asking me like deep down, what do you think? And I kind of knew that I knew already, like my attraction was so turned off by even my ex-husband putting on mascara and wearing like women's underwear. I just kind of knew, but I really wanted my heart and my brain really wanted to try and find a way to make this work. Like we had kids together and I did love this person and they were a good person, and it just really sucks that they had hidden all this and had felt this their whole life. And, you know, it was just, it's so complicated. So anyway, I kind of knew at that point, like when my brother-in-law asked deep down, do you think it's going to work? And I was like, no, but I really wanted to, but I heard that story. And so I knew that that was going to be important. So again, I kind of put my focus on finding a job, finding a way to make sure I could support myself. Again, I mean, I'm a pharmacist, I'm fine. I knew that, but I just needed to find the right fit, a job kind of, because of that layoff in the company, my application got to a hiring manager, and I actually got a job now that is perfect for me, and I get to work from home, which is amazing. But other things, let's see, his parents came out for July 4th, and so we told them together in person. That was really, really hard. His family is very Catholic, and his dad's a deacon in the Catholic Church, and when we told them, my father-in-law immediately turned to me and was like, how are you doing with all this? And I was like, terrible, like I'm not doing well. So once I started being able to tell people and have that support, things did improve for me in that sense, but it was still very, very hard. Before I started my new job, I flew home to my parents' house to hang out, and there was a woman that started coming over to my house all the time, and my ex said, oh, we're just best friends. Like, it's just, if it was a man, would you care as much? But it was this person I found out they'd become best friends that summer, and she was really kind of by her side as she did transitions. I remember being home and I wake up to a bunch of texts at my parents' house home, and I wake up to a bunch of texts from friends like, what's going on? And they had changed their profile picture to that of their new name and all this stuff. And it was just really, really hard. So there's still so much more, but that's my least chaotic version of this story I've been able to tell about that summer. Sadly, on our 7th anniversary, we did decide to officially separate and divorce. I just posted my long version story of how my ex-husband came out as a trans woman, and I just want to be very clear up front, though, that there is no room for hate, no room for disrespectful speech or words or harm towards the trans community. It is simply sharing my experience of what happened, what I said, what they experienced. It's a really, really difficult thing, and I wish it upon no one to have to struggle with those feelings their entire life, and then to make decisions based on what society says or religion or what you feel is the right thing to do, and then realize that you're truly unhappy and have it affect other people so negatively. So just to be upfront, I am sharing my story, but this is not a place to hate on that community and to be rude or say discriminatory comments. I will immediately block or hide anything that is like that. And I know I have like 2 followers, but I still just want to make sure that that is very clear up front.
This is my story time on how I got pregnant at 13 with twins. So let's go back a few years. So when I was like 11, my mom got out of prison, and me and my sister were in foster care, and she came, got us, okay? Boom, so she has us. About a year goes by. We moved to a new house, and my mom starts dating a new guy. So her new boyfriend has a son. His son is who I get pregnant by. His son is like 21. I think he was 21 at the time. 20 or 21 at the time. And so he starts texting me on Facebook. And we like, blah, blah, let's hang out. Yeah, I like you, you're cute. I was like, I like you, you're cute, because I thought he was cute. So then he's like, okay, but if we talk, we can't tell no one, because I'm 13 and he's 20. So I'm like, okay, I won't tell no one. So he moves in with my mom and her boyfriend and me and my sister. So my mom lets me and him share a room. Basically, she thinks that we're just like acting like brother and sister. I tell my mom she's delusional for this. Anyway, so we say we're just brother and sister sharing a room. A 13-year-old and 20-year-old. Yeah, just sharing a room. A boy and a girl. Okay. Anyways, so we are basically in a relationship for like 4 years. So like we got together probably like when I was 12. I got pregnant at 13. We're together till I was like 16. So we're in a relationship, right? And we've already done it, obviously. So then, boom, I end up very, very sick. Very sick. Super sick. Like, I thought I had the flu or something. I was throwing up every day, sweating, nauseous, very sick. My mom comes home one day. She says, I have a pregnancy test. Go take it. So I'm already scared. I'm like, oh crap. I go to the bathroom. I take it. Boom. I'm pregnant. I don't remember if I tell her who it was by, but like, put 2 and 2 together. You obviously know. Anyway, so she doesn't do nothing. She don't really do nothing. She tells me I can keep the baby or I can get an abortion. Me, my young head, I'ma just keep the babies. Well, at the time, I don't know that there's 2. But I'm like, I'ma just keep the baby. So we are still living in the same room together. We're fighting all the time. We fought so much. He threw a whole sledgehammer at my head, but that's time for another story. So, I'm in love with this dude. I am so in love with this dude. So, I'm pregnant, yep. Go to the doctor, boom, find out it's 2. Literally, the first doctor appointment is the first time I found out there's 2. So, boom, pregnant with twins. Basically, the whole town knew. And if you want more story time on what happened next, just let me know. And I'll tell you. Okay, let's do a part 2 on the relationship. So, I'm 13 dating a 20-year-old. Let's say he's 20. He might have been 21. I don't really recall. So, our relationship. It is so good in the beginning. Probably because I felt like an unloved child. And I was craving that attention. So, he gave me plenty of attention. You know, groomed me, basically. Then, it started to get very toxic. Very toxic. So, he was head in love with his baby mama. But he was also fucking me. But he was so in love with his baby mama. So, she would come over. And he would go outside and talk to her and blah, blah, blah. Whatever. Probably still messing with her and blah, blah, blah. Telling me other stuff. Well, then, when we would fight, oh, it'd be terrible. So, one time we were fighting, we broke the vanity mirror. We broke that, smashed that. We yelled, screamed, cussed, hit. Terrible. Well, my 13-year-old self was so in love. I was so in love. So dumb and in love. I was so dumb. Now that I think about it, I was so dumb. So, I was so in love that I would chase him. Like, chase, full-blown chase. Run. And everybody thought that was so funny, and they would call me Bambi. And he even started calling me Bambi. And I thought it was cute. But that was not cute. I was so stupid. So he would call me Bambi because I would chase his ass. Every time he would leave me, I would chase him. And I'd beg him to come back. Beg him to come back. And he would come back. So, yeah. So then I got pregnant. And I gave birth in April 15th of 2014. I turned 14 December 8th of 2013. That's when I turned 14. So when I was pregnant, I was 13. And we got in this big fight. I told my mom to call the cops. But then I reacted on that. And I told her to mind her business. Because he threw coffee in my face. And she was going to call the cops. But then I told her if she called the cops that I would tell on her that she's been letting us be in a relationship. Even though she swears up and down she didn't know. She swears up and down she didn't know. Then I chased it after him again. Begged him to come home. He came home. Then, so in 2014, I'm pregnant still. We get a CPS case. So CPS comes.
They come to the house, knock, knock, knock. They say, my mom thinks they gonna take us. So she's like, let's move. So we had nothing. We move. So I swear this took like months, but I don't really remember time back then because I was so young. But I swear it took like months to get to where we were going. So we started in Texas. We got to Indiana. We stayed in Indiana, I swear, for like 2 months, but I don't really recall. We stayed in Indiana for 2 months. He gets a job at a Taco Bell. He's fucking and cheating on me with the bitches at Taco Bell. He's telling them I'm just his little sister, and he just babysits me. Brush, be so for real. So he is messing with the Taco Bell girls. We're fighting. CPS comes to the hotel. We're staying in a hotel. CPS comes. The cops come. I tell him, oh, he's just my babysitter. I tell the cops that. I'm gonna lie for him. I was in love. He's just my babysitter. He's just watching us till my mom gets back. My mom comes. Boom. Okay, everything's fine. They leave. So then, like, a couple days later, we leave. We keep traveling to Virginia. 2 days before we get to Virginia, my stomach is hurting. It's hurting so bad. We keep traveling. We make it to Virginia. Mind you, we ain't even got nowhere to live. My older sister had a friend that owned an apartment, but they said we couldn't live there. But they said we could stay there. So we get there. That night, we stay the night there. The next morning, boom, my water breaks. It's just me and him. My mom hasn't made it because her husband was a drunk. A different husband. She has a new husband at this point. He was a drunk, so they are way behind us, but they're still coming to Virginia. We just got there first, me and the dude. So boom, my water breaks. He's freaking out. He's saying, he just like don't know what to do. He's like, don't call an ambulance. I'm like, well, what am I gonna do? Boom, my mom shows up 5 minutes later. I swear, it was so fast. So my mom shows up. I'm screaming, Mom, I'm leaking. I don't know what's going on. I'm leaking. So then we go to the hospital. At the hospital, him, the dude I got pregnant by, and my mom's husband get into a fight in the garage. He's drunk. Not the dude I'm with. My mom's husband, he's a drunk. So he's drunk, started shit with the dude I'm with. And they end up getting in a fight. Security comes. Security kicks everyone out. My mom loses her mind. She loses it. Like, mind gone. She has schizophrenia. So she has her first schizophrenia episode at the hospital. She over there talking tongues and all types of stuff. So boom, nobody's there in the hospital with me at this point. I'm all alone. And mind you, I'm 14. I'm all alone. They wheel me to the delivery room, but like a surgery room, because they might have to do a C-section, you know, because I'm having twins. Well, they decided that we're just going to do natural. We did natural. First baby come out easy. Mind you, I'm alone. All I have is a bunch of doctors and nurses. So the first baby come out easy. Boom. So easy. The second baby is stuck, feet first. So the doctor is all the way up in me and pulling the baby. They get that baby out. I feel like I'm about to die. I start shaking uncontrollably and crying. I'm so scared. So, we go back to the room. My mom's there, but she wasn't allowed in the room and back there in surgery because she's lost her mind. She's crazy at this point. She goes over to my babies and starts talking in like tongues. And she says she's praying over them, but she's like being like weird, like kind of scary. I'm like, Mom, get away from them. So they end up taking them all out, calling CPS. Me and my little sister end up going to foster care. As soon as I get out of the hospital, I'm going to a foster care with my kids. That baby daddy ends up going back to Texas, but we're still talking on the phone. But he's going back to Texas because I'm stuck in foster care. We're still gonna try to make it work though, and whatever. So a year goes by. My mom gets us out of the foster care, and then we go back to my mom's. I'm still talking to the baby daddy like a goofy eye. I was so in love and blind. So I'm still talking to him. I get out of foster care. I move back with my mom. Then I decide I'm going to go to Texas too. You know, because he's there. So I'm going to go to Texas too. Boom, I move in with my older sister, another older sister. I move in with her. I go to school for a couple months. I end up dropping out and end up just being bad. But I can do a part 3 of my life if you want.
Just picked up a burrito for lunch. You know how much it was? $17. And you know what's fucked up about that? I thought, not bad. Makes sense.
Get judged for this, but I told my kids they were allowed to hit each other once a day. So to really think about it and not waste their one hit. And now they're calmly discussing when would be the best time to hit each other. But the actual hitting has stopped. So, you know, whatever works.
I'm gonna be talking about shit that my ex did and I stayed for 4 years. Let's start. I caught him cheating multiple times. He did have cameras in his household and I was actually able to get a hold of them. Don't ask me how I logged into it. I don't know how I was able to get access to it, but I did. He did not know that I had access to his cameras inside his house, so I remember he left somewhere and we didn't talk for a couple hours, and so then I get a notification on Snapchat and it's him. And it's a long video, so it was a video because it was purple and there was multiple videos, and I just thought he was sending me another video. Nope. He sent me a video of him doing the D with another female. This happened multiple times, especially after an argument. So he would send me videos of him doing the D with another bitch. Honestly, I was so head over heels for this dude that when he would apologize, I would be like, that's okay. Like I said, he had cameras in his household, and we got into a really big argument that night, and he invited a female over. Actually, multiple females over. I go look on the camera and he's actually doing the D right there, and I watched the whole thing happen. He would have like psychotic episodes, like to the point where we were on FaceTime and his family would have to come over and get the police involved. So I just want you to put like 2 and 2 together that he was very fucked up mentally in the head. And I do want to say that he did have a very shitty childhood, but that's not an excuse. So I remember one time we did get into a huge argument. I don't even know what I did. I think I had some guys on my Snap. If I remember correctly, he blew up. Quite literally blew the fuck up. And I remember he brought out his, I don't know if I can say it on TikTok, but he brought out these. And I thought it was so normal because he was always playing with it, whipping it, cleaning it, like all that. So I didn't think anything of it. And I remember we got into a super big argument, and towards the end of the conversation, he held it to his head. And he got super mad, and as soon as he was about to pull it, he actually hung up on me. And I honestly thought that he did it right there. So when this happened, I had no one to talk to. No one. I could not say anything. I could not go to anyone because this relationship was kept a secret for many reasons. And I had the worst panic attack of my fucking life. I mean, just think about it. The guy that you're head over heels for just offed himself in his own bedroom. I was so young too. Like, I was so scared. Enjoyed me being like that. And this was the lowest point of my life. I'm talking like I did not think I was gonna make it past the age I was. So very toxic relationship, and it's crazy because I stayed for so long. He also got a hold of my iCloud and he deleted all the guy contacts that I ever had in my phone. I lost so many friends because of it, because I lost their numbers, I lost family contacts, everything. Also, I want to point out that he logged into my fucking homegirl's TikTok. Melanie, if you're watching this, I'm so sorry. So I was in a very toxic relationship super young. I have no idea where he's at, what he's doing, if he's even alive still, but it was definitely a lesson learned. Now I look back at it and it's just shits and giggles, but it's probably one of the lowest points of my life. I also do want to point out, what sucks about it is every time that I got into a relationship with someone else and it wasn't toxic, I thought it was weird and I didn't think it was normal. Okay, now things have changed, but it's a little story time. Bye guys.